Just a quick video today. I am sure you're going to get tired of hearing me say this in my videos, but I recently put some questions. This chair is so spinny. I recently put some questions up on Instagram, and a couple of people actually asked me if I had any advice on planning photo shoots, how I do it, if I could offer any tips. Is there a certain way that I do it every time? So I thought I'd just go over some of those questions, just with a couple of points. This tripod's a bit high up, isn't it? Might move that. Okay, I think that's a bit better. Okay, right. Where were we? Yeah, so, yeah, I wanted to talk about a couple of things that I do when I plan my photo shoots, how, if I'm working with a musician or a model, it might differ, that sort of thing. So yeah, we'll get stuck in. If you didn't already know, my name's Sophia Carey and I am a British photographer currently based in London and sometimes in Manchester because that's where I go to uni. I am currently taking bookings for the Northwest. I'm going to be branching into the Northeast as well at some point this year. So if you want to shoot with me, work with me, then please do get in touch. I will be back in London in April and I'll be taking summer bookings then. So yeah, if you want to work with me, get in touch. All the details can be found on my website, which I will put here, but also the link is in the description. And you can also, as ever, find me on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Tumblr, anywhere that's an internet place, probably. Okay, so how do I plan my photo shoots? The first thing I want to talk about is prompts. This one for me was a big thing because especially towards the beginning of my career, I used to get quite anxious meeting new clients. As you can imagine, my job's quite strange. Sometimes I meet strangers for a living. I've never met them before, most of the time. And a lot of the time they feel uncomfortable as well. So the atmosphere, if you're new to it all, can be quite awkward until you kind of learn how to make that less awkward. And of course, when you're a bit anxious, you forget things, etc. So something that I found really useful when I started out in photography. I don't really use it as much now because I tend to use the same things like over and over, but especially when I started out, I would use like prompts. So prompts, you can, before the shoot, you write out like, when you're planning the shoot, like all your poses that you want, all the poses that you want, specific locations that you can think of, things like, oh, I'll say this to the model to get them to do this. Which is especially useful if you're doing weddings or working with families and children. So for example, if you're working with kids, you could be like, right, I need to ask them what their favourite animal is and get them to make the noise of that animal. So you think about all this before the shoot, and then it gets to the shoot and you can't remember any of your prompts. So what I like to do is I either put it in my phone on a notes page or take photos of the prompts, screenshot the prompts, stuff like that. Or you can print off like little cards, and different people do it different ways. You can glue it to, if you've got like a fold out screen like my camera does, you can glue it to the back of that. You can stick it to the bottom of your camera. You could put it on a key ring and keep all your prompts in your pocket. But little things like that, when you get a bit stuck on your photo shoot or when you can't remember the things that you've planned, can be quite useful to prompt your memory and stuff like that. Another thing that you can do, that I've heard other people do, and I've never tried it, but it's quite a good idea, is you take the photos on your camera and then you scroll back through your photos when you're on shoot, and the client doesn't know that what you're doing really, because they just think you're looking at the photos on your camera. But obviously if you're a photographer that shows your client the photos as the shoot goes on, maybe that's not a great idea for you. But yeah, you can try different things and see what works. I think a massive thing when you're planning your shoot as well is to make sure that you've got to know your client, that you know what it is that they want from the shoot, the way they work, for example. Like I said, a lot of the time you've never met your client. So if this is the case, you might want to make sure that the conversations you're having online are clear and concise. Musicians are a little bit easier because they have music that you can listen to. You can work out who their inspirations are. Well, you can ask them, you don't have to work it out. But yeah, you can ask them who their inspirations are, look at the kind of content that they're creating. You can listen to the music, catch a vibe from the music. Obviously, if you're working with someone in grime, that might be a little bit different to the type of photograph that you take if someone is into indie rock, for example. Not always, but usually that's quite a good indicator as to what kind of imagery they are expecting. Another thing which I think is especially helpful, and at the moment I don't do it with all my clients, but I do it with my wedding clients, is send them a questionnaire. So, for example, I'll just talk to you about what I do with wedding clients because, like I said, I don't have one for like my normal clients. But I will ask them how they met, what sort of style photography they like, are there any images that they've seen that they like. Yeah, you just talk to them, get to know them. Another great thing about wedding clients is that you usually, 9 times out of 10, you meet them before the wedding and you get to chat with them and find out what they're like. Obviously with this, if it's a portrait shoot, you don't always have this luxury because it's an hour shoot and you don't necessarily have the time or the capacity to be able to book a meeting beforehand. But yeah, meeting clients can be very useful just to get to know what they're like. And when you know what a client's like and you understand their likes and their dislikes and what kind of imagery they like, and if they're a little bit more into gritty images or they want it to be light and airy, then you understand going into the shoot what's expected of you, what you are trying to achieve. Honestly, I've probably done this video a little bit backwards because, yeah, watch this video backwards really, because my next tip or advice or point is about mood boarding, and you probably should mood board. You should probably get to know your client, then mood board, then do your prompts, but I guess it doesn't matter. But anyway, mood boarding is my favourite thing to do. I don't do it for every shoot, but for the majority of my shoots I will mood board. Not only is this useful for me to work out what kind of poses I want, what kind of lighting I want, what kind of ideas I want, it's really useful to send to the client to help them understand the vibes of what you're after. You can also ask the client to do this as well. A lot of the time I get the client to make a Pinterest board or I share them mine, and that really helps me and them kind of know what we're going for. When working with models, I find a lot of the time the modelling agency will send you their mood board, and then like from the offset you kind of know what they're trying to get into, and then if you want a further mood board you can. As cliche as it is, I love Pinterest. That is what I used to do my mood boarding, and you can follow me down below if you want to have a look at my mood boards, see what kind of thing I'm talking about. But yeah, I'd 100% recommend using mood boards. Linking back to the prompts, you can screenshot them, keep them in your phone, so if you do get a little bit stuck on a shoot, you can just scroll back through your mood board and be like, right, yeah, I wanted to go for that kind of vibe, or that pose really worked, let's try that one. And something I would say though is if you're going to be using mood boards, use them for inspiration. You do not want to be copying other people's work. That is not something that I condone, that is not something I suggest to do. You want to be using these mood boards to inspire yourself, to create your own work, not to copy other people's work. I think that goes without saying, but I'll just put in a little disclaimer there anyway. So yeah, hopefully this video was short and sweet. I say that most videos are about 15 minutes long, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I'm hoping to be back with another video very soon, but in the meantime you can catch me over on Instagram, Twitter, yeah, everything will be in the links below. And like I said earlier on in the video, if you are looking to work with a photographer throughout 2019, Happy New Year by the way, then yeah, get in touch because I'd love to work with you. We can mood board and I'll get to know what you like and we can use some prompts.